On this finally Friday, February 21st, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel, and temperatures out there today a little more tolerable. We're at 13 degrees with a south wind blowing about 14. That still's producing a wind chill of 2 below, but that's nothing. That's nothing. It still feels warm out there, at least warmer. How's that? That's a safe bet, wouldn't you say, Bridgette?
I think that's probably a little bit better. Sunshine feels good. Even earlier this week when there was sunshine and it was still well below zero, I saw melting on my gazebo in the backyard. You could see that it was hanging icicles off. So things are coming along, and this weekend's going to improve as well.
It is, yeah. In fact, we do have some warmer weather on the way as we head into the upcoming weekend. In fact, temperatures finally rising above normal. We're looking at partly cloudy skies, actually mainly sunny for the rest of the day. We should top out in the low 20s today with those south winds blowing about 10 to 20. Then tonight, we're only going to bottom out around 11 above. That's it, with winds generally out of the south about 5 to 15. Then as we head into the start of your weekend, not bad. Low 30s on Saturday with partly cloudy skies. Clouds will thicken up on Sunday in advance of a clipper riding out of Canada. That will give us a high of 38 on Sunday. A few light rain showers or sprinkles Sunday night into Monday, with highs on Monday once again in the 30s. And we're staying in the 30s all of next week, it looks like, at least through Thursday. Another clipper system coming in Tuesday, Wednesday with maybe a little wintry mix. And then we've got a clipper system coming in towards the end of the week. That one could bring us a little bit of light snow with temperatures falling back into the 20s for highs. But even that is not bad. So no big storms in sight, no big snows. I think the snow at the end of the week will probably... There will be some accumulation with that. It looks light, and a lot of it looks to the east in Minnesota, so we'll be keeping an eye on that one. Everything else, though, looks pretty minor.
Okay, did you say wintry mix on Thursday next week?
It looks like Wednesday into Thursday. Where are you going? Where are you traveling?
That's why I want to know where that's going to be, because I do have plans to be in South Dakota next Thursday.
That doesn't. You'll be fine. You'll be fine going south.
Okay.
Yep. You'll be fine.
All right, fine. And so then the week after, on Saturday after that, I'm going to need everything all clear because it's Commodity Classic in Denver. So I'll be flying out for that. So I'd really like the plane to take off and not flip over, etc.
Yeah.
Just a warning. Don't take your seatbelts off early, people. Plan ahead.
That's a perfect example, isn't it? No doubt.
Safety. We're going to be joined next week by Angie Johnson with NDSU Farm and Ranch Safety Specialist. She would tell you the same thing. Keep your seatbelts on.
Exactly. And now it's appropriate to clap again when the plane lands. Remember they used to do that back in the day?
It was hard to tell through at that same time period. People were still smoking heavily on planes, so it was a little hard to see what everybody was doing.
That's right.
Through some of that blue haze.
Can't even imagine that.
I remember a lot of those things. Smoking on planes. Yeah. Well, it was a great place as a kid to put your gum. And by kid, the first time I ever got to fly, I think I was 12.
Right.
Might have been older. And so I had no idea what was expected on an airplane.
Right.
Oh well.
Man.
When it comes to weather, a big thank you to Ryan Bonsack and Equitable Agri-Finance for all that they do locally. They are working for you to find long-term fixed rates for farmland financing. Give him a call at 701-261-6529. Here to help local farmers and ranchers. Again, that is Ryan Bonsack, Equitable Agri-Finance, wanting to do more for your farm. And besides the weather looking up, really, that's all that matters. I was on a call on Twitter here about an hour ago, and our buddy down in Arkansas, Scott Matthews, Scott said, it came again. Well, actually what Scott said, it came again. It was cold down here. You should take this weather back. Things are frozen. So, poor Scott. Arkansas is unprepared for what's been happening there lately.
Well, you know what's funny, and how different each part of the country is different. So my son down in Omaha, they canceled school there today because it was too cold. They had a wind chill this morning. I believe it was 10 below. I mean, come on. Really?
Well, the only reason I can almost side with that, kids are ill prepared. When you think
that's
about
the parents' fault
teachers, Well, it is, but the teachers are trying to protect the kids from frostbite. I kind of get it. I'm not saying that it's right, but yeah, there's a lot of ill preparedness at schools for kids to be outside in those types of
And
temperatures.
I can see
Probably even here too.
I can see 25, 30 below maybe, but come on. I mean, how come we don't cancel schools at 20 to 30 below? Because we're tough, man. We're tough.
We're just
We got
we're
to
used to it.
we got to toughen these
there's a
kids up. That's what we got to do.
There is a bin of mismatched gloves outside every principal's office. Just go find a pair when you need them.
Right.
Which, once upon a time in my life, I remember going into elementary schools for parent-teacher conferences, and you would see the lost and found clothes laid out on a table by the principal's office. And due to the array of items that I saw there, what happened? Did somebody go home naked? How did you lose that many items of clothing that are now in the lost and found? It was fascinating to me. I had no idea how that could happen.
Right.
Oh well.
Oh, those are the
Okay.
days.
So, speaking of fascinating, all right, I know you heard the answer to this earlier today, so this is maybe not fair, Dean, but how many presidents have been active farmers?
Any
'Cause here
guesses?
we are. It's
Addison?
president. Yeah,
Addison,
we're here in President's Week. Let's figure this out.
7.
7 comes from Addison.
Okay.
Okay.
I know the answer, so
Yeah,
I can't.
and Dean heard me say it this
Yeah.
morning.
How many guesses do I get?
how many guesses do you get? Well, you said 7 for your first guess. What would your second guess be?
8,
You're wrong, but you're getting closer.
9.
12.
Oh,
Is that right, Bridgette?
12. Yes, there
Okay.
were 12. So if we go, and not all of them were our very earliest presidents either. Certainly there was a run from George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Monroe, William Harrison, James Tyler, Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, who of course has quite a prominence as a rancher here in North Dakota, Harry Truman, Lyndon Johnson, Jimmy Carter, and George W. Bush. Not everybody was active in farming. Many were, but there are also a great amount that had cattle. Lyndon Johnson and George W. Bush is two that really relied on their cattle herds. And so it's not unusual, especially for those early presidents, that they were farmers because everybody had a farm at that point in their lives. And some of those farms are still operating. George Washington's Mount Vernon can still be found. It was originally a tobacco plantation. Same with Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. That is still at an active historical site for people to tour. And also James Monroe's. His farm was called Oak Hill, and he inherited it from his uncle. And that was also the first year he inherited in 1808. That was his first bid for presidency, which was unsuccessful. But it is now still a privately owned residence and farm. And Monroe had retired to Oak Hill in 1825 after 2 presidential terms. So these are farms that have been going on nearly since the inception of the country, when you think about it. James Tyler, their main plantation house was built in 1730 and has continued on. So neat presidential trivia in a week where we are celebrating President's Day. Was back on Monday. And now we move forward talking a lot about youth this week. So we'll be joined by 2 of our North Dakota State FFA officers. Those students are going to bring us up to date on what happened since we saw them at Giving Hearts Day. They're looking for judges for contests. And here's the part where I hope everybody gets their pens and pencils handy. Let's be writing down the dates and the contest possibilities, because I'd love to see folks get involved at their convention, or even from home. You can help us by judging scholarship applications and more. So we're going to want to be doing that when we talk to those students. So lots of things to share with them. I'm looking forward to it. And we've also had some positive feedback from our visit yesterday with the students at the Kensal Public School out in Kensal, North Dakota. The kids had a great time. Their teachers have said that they really appreciated the opportunity to share what they were doing. So that was fun.
You know, I know they're going to look back on this once they get a little older, and what they're doing is going to absolutely stick out as probably one of the highlights of their young school career. It's those things that stick with you. It really, really is. Those different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're doing it with the whole school. So how are they going to top that next year? I guess we'll have to wait to find out. And those of you listening won't have to wait to find out anymore. We're going to catch up with the markets, hear from Jesse Allen at the American Ag Network, and then we'll be back to recap what's been going on for National FFA Week. And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us today. Some of you may be out, I heard, hauling water in the Bakken. There's folks that have been out delivering eggs to some of their customers, and there are others who are working in the shop today. So thanks to each one of you for taking the time to tune in and hear what we've got going on. It's been a big week focusing on the FFA and youth. And I will say, if you're tired of that, I'm sorry, but can we ever give too much exposure to our young people, Dean? I just don't know that we can.
No.
Right?
Right. Exactly.
And I promise, I've gotten some contacts with some 4-H students, so I'll have some 4-H kids coming on in March because I love to hear what kids are doing and how they're making an impact for the future of agriculture. And many of us started out in their shoes, their jackets, in their white shirts with their 4-H badge on them, and it's great to reminisce about the things that they're doing. 2 students that are joining us today, one by phone, that's Joe Lindberg. He's a state FFA officer. And then in person with you in studio is Bailey Urlacher. And so, folks, thanks for joining us today. We're really glad that both of you could be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here too.
All right, Bailey, you're going to need to pull that mic right up close to you. I can barely hear that poor gal. So we're going to get her situated. All right. So, Joe, I'm going to start with you. What is your state office, Joe, and what's your home chapter?
Hi. So my state office, I am the North Dakota FFA reporter for this year, and my home chapter, I hail from the great Carrington FFA chapter.
Very nice. All right, Bailey, your chapter and your office, please.
Yeah, so this year I'm serving as the state vice president, and I'm originally from the New England FFA chapter.
Fantastic. All right, we got to see both of you at Giving Hearts Day very recently in Fargo, and I wanted to know how Giving Hearts Day went. What are some of the things that you did to drive participation, and what was your final dollar amount? Let's see, who gets to start that conversation? Is that you, Joe, to start out with the dollar amounts?
Yeah, I can definitely start that. So we are very thankful for all our amazing donors. They helped us raise just over $73,000. We wanted to say thank you so much to all our dedicated supporters, and these funds will directly benefit the North Dakota FFA members through scholarships for like Washington Leadership Conference and or scholarships, beginning and expanding SAE grants, leadership events, and other essential programming.
Oh, those are awesome. I'm making some notes here because there's lots of things to talk about. Bailey, you guys didn't just stand around for the day. What are some of the things that you were doing on Giving Hearts Day when it came to the fundraising events?
That's right. Between singing a fun song to put on social media to encourage our sponsors, we also did some tour visits. So we got to visit with some of our match donors, our 5,000 tier. So we got a chance to go visit First International Bank and Trust and border states. So we did some of those visits. We went on scene to Giving Hearts Day headquarters, and we had Grant and Tegan, who are 2 of our other state officers, do an interview for that as well.
It was a big day for you guys. How exhausted were you at the end of all that?
So I think we ended up leaving. So we were downtown Fargo at a Bovo's studio writing thank yous and calling our sponsors all day. And I think we wrapped up around 11 o'clock at night. So we put in a full day's work, and it was fun.
But it was. There was one other thing that was kind of fun that you guys recently did that was a bit of a fundraiser. And I'm going to ask Joe to comment on this. You all played a significant part in Governor Armstrong's Governor's Ball. So Joe, tell us what that was like.
Oh, it was an amazing time. So we showed up to the center where they were holding the event center where they were holding the ball, and we got to meet and talk to Governor Armstrong for a bit the night before. So we came there. We did a lot of greeting with people, shaking hands. I personally got to meet a lot of the legislative officials, like the tax commissioner and a few others as well. And yeah, it was just an amazing night. We had a few other chapter members with us from around the state who also had an amazing time. We helped clear tables and really just had an amazing night there.
Sounds to me as though you were doing quite a few gifts of service, you might say, by participating and helping out with different events and being hosts, if you will, at that event, correct?
Yes.
So Bailey, at the end of the night, there's some pretty big presentations that were made. You just mentioned $73,000 in donations made on Giving Hearts Day. That's in addition to what happened at the Governor's Ball.
Yeah, so we were so honored to be given a $200,000 donation from the Armstrong campaign, which was truly something beyond words. Words can't describe how grateful we are for that donation to our organization, and the amount of things it will help us do for the youth in agriculture and FFA it's going to do some amazing things.
I like the way you guys are thinking. You're planning ahead, wanting to use those dollars down the road. That's probably the best plan for them. And when you looked at the Governor's Ball and the dollars that were given to you, there was another charity involved. Did you have any interaction with them? And if you want to talk about them, Bailey.
Yeah, so the Great Plains Food Bank was also a recipient of one of these donations. And so we helped bring in food donations at the Governor's Ball for the food pantry. And it was just great to see two amazing organizations be honored at this ball.
All right. I like the way that sounds because those are two things that go hand in hand. So, Joe, if you think about that, what you do for FFA and how the Great Plains Food Bank could possibly tie in, any comments you want to make about that as a student, how you see that as being a mutual benefit to each other?
Well, yeah, no, definitely. In the words of Governor Armstrong, what he said that night was, "These are two of the most amazing organizations in North Dakota that are going to help build and strengthen our future." And I completely agree from that standpoint. FFA being a student-led organization really is amazing because the students get to take charge and start to build a future in their image. And the Great Plains Food Bank also really helps with that, giving food to families and stuff like that who are not as fortunate as others, and helps still provide a future for those who are less fortunate. So I definitely think in both ways they provide a future for students and families.
And I've got a question for Bailey, and so you said you raised $73,000 this year. That's fantastic, by the way. What's your plans for next year? I'm sure you want to try and beat that next year. Are you already planning ahead? Like, okay, what can we do different, or what can we keep doing to try and increase that total for next year?
Yeah, so something the foundation always does is they do a lot of social media promotions. We send out emails, and we just encourage to have returning sponsors each year, and just to continue to share what FFA is and what the foundation does and how these dollars will directly benefit the students. And so by always telling them, the benefit that students will receive is one of the big ways that we can try to boost that dollar sponsors.
Great. I'm sure you guys will do it. You'll top this year's. You'll top that next year, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we are blessed with many great supporters.
Isn't that great? I know. It's a great community. It really is, no doubt.
Folks, so there's going to be many more questions because you have a lot of upcoming things happening between now and your state convention in June. So stay tuned. We're going to touch on our bottom of the hour news, and when we return, lots more things to hear from Joe and Bailey, state FFA officers for North Dakota. Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I hope your day is great, full of sunshine and nice warmer temperatures, as Dean has predicted for us. We have a chance to visit today with two of our North Dakota State FFA officers, Joe Lindberg and Bailey Urlacher. One in studio, one on the phone. I'm on video. We're using every aspect of technology this studio can handle today, you guys. We're going to get it all in. So, Joe, there's some things that are coming up soon. And I know state convention will be happening in June, but even before that, the FFA needs help of our community, not financially, but of their time. Can you talk about what you guys need leading up to convention right now when it comes to judges, et cetera?
Yeah, no, definitely. So we are always looking for passionate volunteers to help support our students. There are multiple ways to get involved, from judging proficiency awards and agri-science projects to assisting with contests like livestock evaluation or ag sales during the Winter CDE Day. If you are interested in being a judge at a state convention or other events, we'd love to have you join us. You can go on our website for further information, or you can email the northdakotaFFA.org.
So, Bailey, I want you to think about those proficiency awards. I bet you've done an application for them a time or two, haven't you?
I have.
Okay.
My senior year.
No, talk about it.
Okay. My senior year, I filled out the beef proficiency placement one. So that was where I worked on my family's ranch as a working hand. And that was really cool. I started it in 2021, and it went all the way through my senior year. And just to be able to mark down on paper the amount of growth and the things I learned working on the ranch is something really cool. And I was able to be a state finalist for that.
So through that work, did you also start to build your own beef herd?
I did. So in return for working, I got a couple of head of cattle, and so I'm slowly starting to build up my herd, which is really cool. It's alongside with the families, but it's super cool to be able to start building that up and understanding what it takes to run and manage the operation, and everything that goes into it, the feeding rations, and then the end result of marketing the cattle. So we sell bulls. So I got to learn a lot about the marketing side and what goes into making all the posts, promoting the bull sale, and then also promoting calves at the sale barn as well.
And Bailey, you said something about you guys were talking about the Washington Leadership Conference. Explain what that is?
Yeah, so the Washington Leadership Conference is a conference for sophomores to seniors, I believe, in Washington, D.C. And so it's a conference dedicated towards becoming a change maker and a leader in your community, and being able to see the need for things in your community. And it's super cool. It's about 4 or 5 days long in the nation's capital. Cool. You get to do some touristy things, but also learn how you can be of better use in your community and see those needs and put it to action. So at the end of the conference, every member leaves with a Living to Serve plan. And so that's something that they can take and implement in their community upon return, with a plan of action on how to fill the needs of their community.
Right. Interesting.
At that Washington Leadership Conference, I realized I went eons ago, but I will never forget in July being in Arlington National Cemetery. And you can see Bailey's official dress. She's got her blue corduroy jacket on. She's wearing a black skirt or pants. And those are not cool colors to stand in the sunshine and the humidity of Washington, D.C. in the month of July. And as our group was walking through the cemetery, we had a couple little old ladies stop us and ask if we were part of a gang. And all I could think was, I appreciate that we all look alike, but if we were part of a gang, we'd pick short sleeves because this is really hot. But it made an impression. So, Joe, have you attended Washington Leadership Conference as well?
Yes, I have. I had an amazing time there, and like you said, too, I definitely remember going through Arlington Cemetery in the heat of July was when I went, and it was definitely a experience. But I also remember, too, all the people who were, surprised and always interested, like, oh, I see you're all wearing the same thing. What are you guys from? What do you guys do? And stuff like that. But other than that, it was definitely an amazing experience getting to tour and see all of D.C., from being from North Dakota and being in a small town all my life, to go and see a big city like Washington, D.C., it was a really cool experience. And meeting kids from all over this nation. So when you go, you get the opportunity to spend the week in a room with 3 other students from across the nation. So I had a roommate from two of my roommates were from down south over in Georgia and Arkansas, I believe, and then one more was from Ohio. But yeah, they were just really great people to meet. I still talk to some of them, and if you get the opportunity to go, I strongly encourage everybody to try and go.
Bailey, you said something about coming home from Washington Leadership Conference with a plan. What's that plan?
So that plan is, so during the week you'll learn how to visualize the needs of your community, and so that living to serve, that service plan that you leave, you spend the whole week in different sessions developing it, and so at the end of the week you have a plan for what that need is, your plan of how you're going to fill that need with your chapter and local community, whether that's through a fundraiser or an organized community activity, and then the goals, and then ultimately what you want the outcome to be. And so it's a very outlined plan of what you want that you can pick up, show your advisor, and be like, hey, this is what I think this community needs, and here's how we should get this done. And it's just a really great way to have that plan of action upon arrival.
Sure, before you ever get home. Now, one of the things, I'm going to go back to the Proficiency Awards, similar to your plan when you leave Washington Leadership Conference. Your Proficiency Award application is very detailed about what you've done over the last few years. So, Joe, you filled out these applications as well. When you talked a few minutes ago about folks being judges for that, do you remember some of the areas on your proficiency application? Because I want folks to hear that being a judge doesn't mean you have to have any specific background. You just have to be able to look at what folks are doing and essentially rate that. But do you remember anything about your application, Joe?
Yeah, so the application, it is a little bit long, definitely, for filling it out, but it is, for the most part, just describing what you've been doing throughout the year. So I remember I had to put in financial records and stuff like that, as well as where I started, from the ground bottom, and then where I'm at now. So the biggest thing they're looking for when they're judging these is just the overall growth. Like, you don't have to have a PhD, a college degree, anything. Like, you're just looking to see, have these proficiencies been growing? Have the students been learning anything, and stuff like that?
See, Dean, we can judge these.
That would be fun, actually. I would like that.
And really, the advisor sends you the information, and it can come electronically. You don't even have to go anywhere. You can do this from the comfort of your couch, your desk at home, and you can run through the criteria that the advisors outlined for you, and so that you can score those applications for students. And it's not just the proficiency awards. I heard Joe mention agri-science awards. I've also been fortunate to help judge scholarship applications for students, and you can also do that for a variety of other aspects of FFA. So if there's any chance that you could help to judge, they're always looking for folks, even if you don't have a background in agriculture. Think how much you could learn. So, Joe, you mentioned where folks can sign up to be judges. Can you reiterate that for us?
Yeah, so you can sign up to be judges if you go to the North Dakota FFA Association website. There's links all across their page to get a hold of our state staff, Nikki Fela-Vidal and Brianna Mueller, as well as links for signing up to become judges.
Okay. And those judges, all of that awarding is a culmination when you all get to state convention in June. Bailey, talk about convention. What are the dates? Where is it going to be? What things do you do at conventions besides have a lot of speakers?
Yeah, so convention is in the first week of June, Monday through Thursday. And so we have sessions each day where we have retiring addresses from the state officers. We have speakers that come. We have workshops for students to attend, as well as over 30 between agri-science fair degrees, 30 different areas where students can compete in, from anything from dairy cattle handling to Courtesy Corps, where members get to help put the contest on, milk quality judging, all sorts of contests that students can compete in throughout the week. And it's just a great opportunity we have over 1,300 anticipated members coming to join us in Fargo. So it's really great to watch convention grow and have everyone get together for this week, celebrating successes, electing a new state officer team, which is going to be so fun to watch. And lots of things going on, lots of opportunities for judges to help volunteer as well.
Okay, so those judges, that's a huge part. And again, Dee and I can sign you up for stuff all day long. We can judge public speaking, the FFA Creed. I remember the first time I was going to convention, and it was the first week of June, which is haying season. And my dad looked at me and he said, "You're going to be gone for a week during haying season?" And I
Nice.
said, "Yes." And the neighbor kind of nudged him and said, "This is why they say father farms alone." I said, "Come on, it's only a week, you guys. It's only a
Right.
week." But at that convention, we have the opportunity as community people to judge, Dean. So I would love to see us participate in that
That
as
would be
well.
great. I'd
And there's
like
career
that.
fair.
That would be
Yeah.
great. Now,
There's a
Bailey, you said something about that you guys learn a lot through the FFA, and you have ag classes. What would you say stands out as the biggest thing you've learned from your ag classes?
For my ag classes, definitely to always try something new.
Okay.
So in ag class, my junior year, I remember we had this electricity unit, and I looked at my advisor and I was like, I am not an electrician. But through ag class, I've always learned to try something new and to just always be willing to try that new thing, and don't be afraid to open your door. And that's really what encouraged me to be where I am today, because learning hey, just try it once. So like my freshman year, I did ag mechanics competition.
Uh-huh.
It's not my strong suit, but hey, I tried it once.
That's
I gave
right.
it a shot. So
That's cool.
It's always just learning to take that step, even if it's scary, to just try that new thing, because you never know what's going to be up your alley, and you're never going to know if you try. So that's definitely my biggest takeaway from ag class, is to always try something new.
And Joe, how about you?
Yeah, so as far as ag classes, I mean, I definitely learned so much. One of the first things was don't sit on the desk, but other than that, no, I learned so much, like Bailey was saying, about opportunities and trying new things. Actually today I was filling out a form for Bailey about we're doing a behind the jacket series right now for National FFA Week, and there was a quote. She said, "Do you have any quotes that you want to give the members about FFA and that?" And I said, "Yes." And it was, "Opportunities are fleeting like sunlight through clouds. Embrace them where they appear, for once they're gone, they may never return." And that is something I've always lived by as far as that. Ag classes really teach you that, because, looking back on it now, like from a standpoint of now being an officer, looking at all the opportunities these students get, it is just so amazing.
Speaking of FFA week, you guys have chapter banquet season, and that really takes place March and April this year, where chapters across the state host their banquets to provide their own local awards. Okay, so has anybody checked their calendar? How many banquets do you each have on your calendars? Bailey, what about you?
I am currently at about 6 banquets, and we are still
Okay.
getting requests in, so that number will more than likely grow. So everywhere from Stanley to Minot, Lisbon, Madoc, my home chapter of New England, and I'm going to go out to Golden Valley County, so Beach are the ones on the list for
Okay.
me so far.
Joe, where are you headed for banquet?
So when my banquet season starts off, I'll be visiting Max, Oak Sargent Central, Drake Animus, and the Carrington FFA chapter. So those are all the ones I have on my radar so far, with hopefully many more to come.
We hope so too. And last shout out here, Joe, I want to make sure we get this in. Not only at convention do you have all those workshops and contests to participate in, there's a career fair for students so that they have the opportunity to walk through and look at where they might be in the future. And you have a new venue. Joe, where's State FFA Convention going to be held in Fargo this year?
So in Fargo, we're still going to be holding it at campus. We're still working, with our growing organization and our growing state convention where, Benson Bunker is getting a little bit tight. We're looking at potentially moving it somewhere else on the NDSU campus. We do not have a current location yet. We haven't been informed of that, but we're excited to see where we may be hosting the new convention site.
Well, considering that the campus has grown, but so has FFA, it's nice to see you might get a new home on the campus. So excited to see where that turns out. We have filled all of our time in talking with Joe and Bailey today. Folks, thank you so much for joining us, to both of you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, guys. Well, we got to take a quick break. When we do come back, we'll have a recap of weather, and Bridgette has got a couple of ag topics we've got to go over as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus, 1:53 in the afternoon on this finally Friday. And it's feeling a little nicer out there. How about tolerable? It's feeling tolerable out there. And temperatures out there right now are at 15 degrees here in the FM area. You want to kill that music there, Addison? Thank you, buddy. He's on the phone.
I was really enjoying that.
He's on the phone.
Oh,
Somebody's calling.
he's got to take a caller for us.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. So we're at 15 here, and we've got low 20s off in the Northern Valley because there's less snow cover, and temperatures generally in the mid-teens across the area. We've got Scott on line one. Scott, welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. What you got for us?
Hi, say just wondering what the weather looks like on March 11th for Fargo and Minneapolis.
Are you driving?
Flying out of both.
You're flying out of both Fargo and Minneapolis on the 11th. All right, Scott,
Yes.
Tell you what, I've got my LRC calendar in my office, so shoot me an email if you would, please, weather@flagfamily.com, and I will respond to you. What I can tell you without looking at the calendar is that we're just starting to go into the stormy part of the LRC cycle right around that time. So hopefully we can hold that off for a couple of days after that. But yeah, shoot me an email on your departure and the days. I know you said the 11th. I don't know if you're doing a quick turnaround on that specific day, but shoot me an email, weather@flagfamily.com, and then I'll look at my calendar in the office, and then I'll let you know.
Thanks,
Scott. All right. Yeah, it's
I don't know. I'm looking at my calendar too, Scott. I'm going to want to know the same things.
right. And I'll tell you, hey, there's a lot of people that'll, that rely on the LRC for that. And the key to that, as we go into that stormy part of the LRC cycle towards mid-March, is the systems that were down to the south this last cycle, will they rotate back north? And odds are, it all depends on the Arctic oscillation. We've been talking about that a lot this winter. And if that goes sharp negative again, those storms will stay south. Current indication is that won't happen. It will be slightly negative as we head into mid-March, but it shouldn't be a sharply negative. And what that will do is lift that storm track further north into the northern plains, opposed to the central and southern plains. So something we'll be keeping an eye on. And hey, like I said, we've got just under 20 inches of snow so far this winter, and we'll add to that. I promise you, we will add to that in March and April. And we very well, it wouldn't surprise me if we doubled it, which would still bring us to below normal snowfall for the season, but at least we'll add to that, and that will help for the moisture as we head into spring. No moisture really in the forecast, though, as we head into the weekend. There's a little bit Sunday night into Monday, but other than that, it should be dry and it'll be warming up. Currently, we're in the teens to low 20s across the area. Should top out in the low 20s here in the FM area. A little bit warmer in the far northern valley, then down to 11 tonight, 33 tomorrow. Tomorrow's not too bad of a day, really. We'll see more snow melting and kind of slushy underfoot, if you will. And then all the way up to 38 on Sunday. I do believe most of the day will be dry. But as we head towards the evening and overnight, we could see a little rain or sprinkle activity, and that will last into Monday. Then we have another clipper system midweek with a chance for a little light rain, maybe mixed in with little light snow. But by Friday, a stronger clipper system, and that one might bring a little more in the way of snowfall, favoring the northern valley and east into Minnesota right now. But if that clipper tracks a little further southward, that would put the FM area in on a little more accumulating snow. But I'll tell you what, by the end of next week, we're going to have bare ground because a lot of this snow is going to melt. We've got anywhere between 3 and 4 inches. Now, the far southern valley has some deeper snowpack, so there you'll probably maintain most of your snowpack. But we'll melt at least 3 inches out of this, and we're more than likely, again, going to start seeing bare ground. But again, we're not done with the snow. I know a lot of people would like to say that, but no, we're not. So don't put away the snow blowers just yet. Don't get a false hope of spring this week. Although it is a nice break, that's for sure.
It has been. It really has been. And for those of you who are planning ahead on your calendar, mark March 5th over at the Winter Show in Valley City. We have 2 new inductees into the North Dakota Agricultural Hall of Fame. One of them is Gabe Brown. He is a regenerative farmer from over by Bismarck. He really has been a pioneer in that arena as he's helped move people forward, not only with no-till, diverse cover crops, rotational grazing, and more, but then also Sarah Vogel. Many of you know Sarah. She was Ag Commissioner in North Dakota starting in 1988. She also was the first woman elected Ag Commissioner to that position in the U.S. So she was got her start right here. Prior to Ag Commissioner, Sarah was indeed an active attorney who successfully sued the USDA on behalf of farmers. She's written a book called The Farmer's Lawyer. If you're curious what was all going on in the 80s during that time in crisis, you're going to want to check out Sarah's book. And also, congratulations to them going into the North Dakota Ag Hall of Fame.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, for Bridgette and myself, I want to thank you for joining us on Weather and Ag in Focus. Have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Enjoy the warmer weather. The Jay Thomas Show with Tim Flackel is coming up next.